Hello, Berkeley. Peace, love, cinema. This is the 26th annual Berkeley Video and Film Festival, and it feels like it. 26 years with eyelids wide open. We're really blessed to have this incredible film, last minute film, in our schedule. Thank you all for coming out. Really appreciate it. I'd like to introduce the ringleader of this event tonight, Todd Kerr from Berkeley Times.
And I have the honor of introducing the real talent tonight, but let me just say a few things first. So first of all, thank you for being here. And let's acknowledge where we are. We are at the East Bay Media Center, one of the last places that one can see independent film in Berkeley. So just a few logistics. The bathrooms are out here. And if there is an emergency, God forbid, there's the exit. All right. But let's dwell on this for just a moment. And Mel, who introduced me, and Paul are the keepers of this place. They're in their 30-something year. In their history in Berkeley, they have helped more people onto television and other media than anyone I know. And it's because of that, and because of their knowledge of all the filmmakers, that they have insisted on keeping a screen like this alive. After the film tonight, we are going to have a Q&A with Santiago Rizzo, the filmmaker, and we're going to be talking about how one might build an audience for a film like this. It's an incredible film. So as you appreciate this film, ask yourself, how are you related to this story? Who else needs to hear this story? And how, in this day and age, is that going to happen? All right, so why am I here tonight? Why is the editor and publisher of Berkeley Times here introducing the filmmaker? It's because about 7 full years ago, I launched Berkeley Times, a print-only newspaper. I come actually from the world of technology and finance. I was a pixel guy. And I decided that what the world needed most is a print newspaper. And I believe that, because what I really believe in is stories. Soon after I launched the newspaper, and I had moved to Berkeley a couple years prior to that, and I had met Tim in that context, I think through my activity with the Berkeley Athletic Fund, and my phone started to ring. And I picked up the phone one day, I remember, and someone said, "I want you to know that Tim Mullering is sick, but no one is supposed to know." And I'm the newspaper guy, right? I heard that. Okay. A couple days later, my phone rings. Tim Mullering is sick, but no one's supposed to know. It happened over and over and over. Everyone in the community knew that Tim was sick, and we were all keeping this secret. And it's what Tim wanted. So when he did pass away in 2011, it was one of the biggest memorials that I can remember in this city. And it was at that point I met Santiago Rizzo, who is a very special person, who is the protagonist in this film, and who I believe co-wrote this film with Tim Mullering, who this film honors. And so I want you to know this movie comes from heart. And it comes from this man right back here, who I'm going to introduce without any further ado. This is Santiago Rizzo.
So yes, this movie was made with a lot of love. I kind of think we should just play the movie. it touches my heart that you said what you said about Tim because, yeah, it still makes me sad. I love Tim very much. And I made a promise to him that I would make this movie. I didn't have any experience. I've never made a short film in my life. I've never made anything like this in my life. But yeah, through love, this is what we have. It ends when Tim's top 10 principles come up at the end of the screen. So please sit through the credits.
So we're going to open up the space for some questions, but I believe there's going to be a presentation first. Oh, and I am a part of the presentation, apparently. Mel, is there something going to happen that I... No, okay.
Why are we organizing?
So,
Yes.
no, there is. All right. So we need to vamp for just a minute or two. Let me just say that I'm still taking in that movie. And having met Tim, I just want to compliment you on this movie. Because for someone that knew Tim, you really had the feeling he was on the screen. And that was just really special for me.
That's very true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Am I on? No? All right. Now, there is going to be a special presentation.
On behalf of the Berkeley Film Festival, here's our Grand Festival Award request for feature film.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we have a camera here, right? Good. All right. And these are wings, and these are noteworthy because as we promote, we promote this film. These are things you can put on your thing. Yeah. All right. Here, why don't you say a couple things?
Thank you for coming here.
Good movie.
Thank you. Tim was a really beautiful human being, and he was loved by a lot of people, and he had real humility. And I think right now there's enough ego and status in the world as it is, and I think it's time we start honoring people with humility.
Yeah.
And he understood his privilege. And, he was a tall white man who understood his privilege, and he was loved by everyone. And he didn't judge. And I think that's the message I want this film to teach, which is a couple things. One is, trust your struggle, because we all have pain, and only through the pain can you get to the love. And that's been a long process for me. The kid is denying his pain with graffiti, and he's trying to cover it up, but only until he gets to the end where he finally lets himself go can he heal himself. And I try to represent that with the slow motion spray paint that represented Tim's spirit in the movie for me. And only when he started to clean up his act, only when I made this movie and cleaned up my own, paid my own debt back to the world, could I start to have his spirit again. And that's why the slow motion spray paint landed on the child slowly when he was cleaning up and painting over the wall. And the other message is not to judge. And then we all have a responsibility to give back to society. And I did the best I could with this movie, and hopefully it inspires other people to do the same.
Any questions from the house? Yes.
Well, I'll
say I came here by accident, having no idea that I was going to a movie until 5 minutes to 6, when I was gifted a ticket along with my daughter by friends, and I'm very pleased to have been here for a totally unexpected and really worthwhile experience. Now, I must say that was a truly exceptionally good movie for a first-time project. You said this was the first time you had done anything like this. What did you call upon to produce a movie of this quality with Lou Diamond Phillips and other people who, though I couldn't tell you their names, look recognizably familiar to me as character actors, and of an exceptionally high standard of production? This is not a first-time movie kind of movie. I know a lot of filmmakers, and this is not what I've seen from first-time movies.
Thank you very much. I feel that everything is energy, and as the kid says, water seeks its own level. And I think creativity is just an energy and an intensity. And I really want to leave a message to kids. I showed this movie, the trailer and part of the movie, to kids in Juvenile Hall 2 weeks ago, and they're going to come with me to Napa Valley. We're playing next at the Napa Valley Film Festival, and on the 11th, the kids are going to come up and watch the movie. And I really hope they inspire the adults, because these are beautiful kids. And one of the things I believe is that the struggle creates the art, and the pain, with the pain, there's a need to release. And I was in such pain, I just needed to release. And I believe that if you focus your energy and intensity, and many of us who have been through abuse, who have struggled, have an intense energy that can be misunderstood, but when you direct it in the right place, good things happen. And Tim and I bought a house together, which I sold to make this movie. It was on Carlton in Berkeley. And I had transformed that house when he was dying in his last year, and I remodeled it. And in that process, I learned that, you know, creativity is just intensity. So I believe that I could get the performance out of the kid, and I went with it. And after a couple of months of casting the kid, I think the casting director and all the managers started to believe in me, and that's when they brought some of the bigger names, or, you know, that's how we got names. It didn't happen at the first week or second week. It happened at the very end of the process. And we got to attract a lot of great actor talent, and my cinematographer is just very special, and he brought his art to this project, so that's what happened.
Bravo.
Yeah, I want to say the Dash really captured something so straightforward about Tim, and so honest. I'm a big fan of Ray Donovan, by the way, so I know his work.
So Dash Mihok plays Tim over in
He played Tim. And you didn't even, the quality of suspicion about Tim's motives in the movie is handled so clearly that, although it's brought up in the movie, it doesn't occur to me. It almost does, because the situation is so, you know, everybody, I mean, it's a deeply contemporary problem. But his performance and the performance of the boy were such that I could see the actual love between them as human beings, not sexual. And I want to congratulate you for getting Dash, because he is such a fantastic personality on screen. And thank you again for doing that. I want to compliment you on that. And I was very happy to see this relationship be so simple.
Thank you. Yeah, I think when I was a kid, you know, walking around with Tim, I'm sure a lot of adults may have questioned his motives and what he was doing and why he helped me. And I was also a cute kid. Greg's a lot cuter than I was when I was a kid. it took me a long time to trust him. I was very skeptical of adults, so it took me a long time, but I can tell you he was just the most beautiful spirit. And you know, I got to meet the Dalai Lama twice, and I got to meet a lot of spiritual leaders, and Tim embodied everything that spirituality claims, and he embodies religion without believing in religion, or maybe he did, but he didn't preach, and he just was humility and compassion. So I had a really beautiful teacher.
We're going to ask a question here, but just while we're talking about Berkeley teachers, how many Berkeley Unified School District educators are in the house tonight? Just raise arms. How many of you taught with Tim? All right. And how many of you taught Santiago? Joan is your Spanish teacher.
Yeah, Jack taught me gardening when I was in Lacan.
Yeah, he's from Lacan, and there was one other hand here.
Okay, all right. Sure. My third, yeah, okay. Who was a victim, all right.
Yeah, and maybe we should ask you, did Miles get Santiago in the film pretty well? Beautiful. All right, the question here, yeah.
Awesome job, brother.
Thanks, Eddie.
Awesome. So proud of you. So proud of you. Obviously, I've seen the struggle with you, and I'm blown away by what you've done. I'm just very happy for you, and hope that we can support you any way we can in getting this word out.
Thank you.
I got two questions for you. Question one, how did you get into his house to be able to film? Because like going into that room was, I mean, that was time work, of course, right? And for many of us, last time we were in there, it was at a time towards the end.
So for those of you who don't know, that was actually Tim's house on Bancroft.
Right on the way to school. I mean,
Yeah. And everyone passes that. So that blue and gold, that's Tim Mulder.
So the answer to the question is Rob is a family friend, and he let us shoot in the house.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Second question is, you know how much baseball was a part of Tim's life?
Yeah.
And there was no baseball scene other than being on film. No baseball games. I mean, there was the Cal element, which we all know he did the home games, but baseball was a huge part of who he was.
Well,
so how did you deal with that?
Can't do everything in a movie.
Yeah.
5 minutes. And Tim wrote the first draft, and he had it football, so I just followed his lead. He had that. So, and Willard does not have tackle football, but but Tim wrote that in the first draft, so I figured I'd honor that too. It's a movie. But thank you. And in terms of support, I mean, we were in Germany, and Greg won Best Actor in Oldenburg. We world premiered it 6 weeks ago, and then we were in New York, and then we were at the Mill Valley Film Festival, and we won the audience award there, which was awesome. I was just in Austin 4 or 5 days ago, and we're going to go to Napa Valley, but I need support. So if there's a way for you guys to share it with your friends, I don't know how else to do this.
Can we talk about that? What
Would
so
you
for a
support
film like
you?
this, we need it to be in distribution, right?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge right now is a lot of people in Hollywood think it's a small story, and they see things in terms of status and money, and they don't see the money in this. And I,
Me too.
me too, maybe.
I'm sorry, I just came. They don't. The idea that they don't see this as important drives me crazy as you say that.
Well, yeah, I just think that the world is really hungry right now for authenticity and humility and love, and they're not putting those projects in, and when they do, it's not made from a place of love and authenticity, therefore it's not coming across to the audience, and I think they're missing this. So I think it's going to take the audience proving them wrong. So I think what we would need to do, and there have been some sales agents and distributors talking to me, but I think we need to launch it in Berkeley and really put it in a theater in Berkeley and get that theater sold out and just consistently share the word with all of Berkeley. Because this is a Berkeley film. It was born in Berkeley. The compassion was born from the city. It was born from the East Bay. The East Bay has a lot to teach the world because we're in a revolution of the evolution of consciousness right now. And it started here. And Berkeley has so much to teach the rest of the world. And this would not have happened without all the love that this city has brought me and so many other people who worked on the film as well. So it really needs to be born from Berkeley and spread out through the rest of the world. So, you know, I didn't even plan to be here, but, you know, Todd had, you know, suggested this festival like 2 weeks ago after Mill Valley, and I said yes. So I think the best strategy is spreading the word in Berkeley and just, you know, showing the world that people want to see this from here and building it out from here. That would be, you know, if I could plan something, that would be how it would go, but it's out of my control.
Well, can we turn that into a request? Since this very special evening has involved this portion of the community, do I have a commitment from everyone in this room to do what they can to help this process?
Absolutely.
So,
well, also, I guess leave. I haven't done this before, but emails or something. Maybe there's a sheet at the end that you guys can put your email. I'm not good with marketing. Like, I'm just like that's the one thing I just don't understand. I don't understand marketing.
No problem. He does.
All right.
so seriously, let's we'll do a little sign-up sheet, and if anyone would like to give their name and number, we will follow up. Probably what's going to happen is we'll start talking about it.
Yeah, and I think like you could go to like IMDb. I've never asked anyone to do this either, but you could like vote on IMDb or something and like put a score or something.
Oh, yeah.
I think your rating's already over 8. Yeah. So anyone who's seen it, your rating will help. But we'll probably do. We'll get your permission. We'll probably do more private screenings like this to help build a groundswell. And anyone here, since you're here, you've made that commitment. Just look for more messages. There'll be more about this. Yeah.
Quick questions. Quick people to get in touch.
Santiago, I just want to add what you said that film to have it be general public and Berkeley. A couple things. So when are you thinking about doing that? Is my question. And then I had a comment I wanted to make about Tim and the special experience I had. I think echoes his personality.
I have no idea about the distribution, but I do think we need to start it here. So when that happens, I don't know, but if we keep an email list, that way when it does happen, I can share, and then maybe you guys can share it with all your friends, at least for the opening, and then they can share it with their friends. But I don't know. Who is the contact?
Oh, I just, Tim and we did a road trip to Southern California years ago, and we were about 5 or 6, and it was pretty close to us in the car. The car and it's that car. And we had to sit in the car the whole night because we couldn't get a mechanic to fix it.
Yeah. How many Citroen mechanics are in the world?
Right, exactly. And
Lots,
those
but they're on
bottles.
the planet.
We're stuck in those bottles of all places overnight with a crazy lot in the car. And Tim's personality is such that
Entertain you.
well, he's Tim's a good person, not smart.
Was it a navy blue though, the car?
It was a really broken green car.
Great.
But I think people are getting tired, so if there's quick questions, and then we can talk about it afterwards, and you can share stories. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, Santiago, I was just thinking when I said Me Too at the wrong time, I wasn't talking about agreeing with the negative thing that was said. It was more about the Me Too campaign that suddenly took off on social media, and that so many people identified, because so many people have been, say, sexually harassed or abused, and the same thing with child abuse. It's such a huge taboo subject that I feel like there's a way in which this film could help set off, again, another kind of campaign that recognizes child abuse. And there are some great foundations in the Bay Area, the Child Abuse Prevention Fund, and places like that, and I feel like that's where the synergy can be with agencies like that.
So why don't you give me those names later?
Yeah.
Actually, what we're doing is Help for Children, which is the largest foundation for child abuse prevention. They've given over $55 million over the years. Wants to hold a gala screening in New York City with all their charities, and they want to hold a big event there, and they want to back this movie and get it out loudly in the world.
Great. That's really good to hear, Santiago.
They're behind the movie.
I want to thank you for bringing Tim back to me. He taught my kids, and I hadn't felt him for a long time, and I'm just very grateful to you for bringing him here.
We have one last question here.
So I got a phone call from Todd Kerr the other day and said, you can't miss this. And it's like, yes, I can. And then he said, no, you can't. You have to come. And I trust Todd, so here I am with my friends and family. So I can guess in this film when you started to trust him, but when did you really start to trust him?
I think it took like 2 years. And I think that's also a really strong message. Thank you for asking that question, because it's really important for teachers. Look, we all come from different backgrounds, right? And understanding a child acting out is not an easy thing to do sometimes. It's just annoying. The kid is like belligerent, he's, you know, disrespectful, you know, and we all take it personally, or we can take it personally, and it's really important. And Tim did this well. I mean, you saw when I tried to put the scene in there when the kid Andy is like acting out and he just kind of plays and gives it back to him. You know, he just like lets him sit in it and reflect on himself, and Tim never took things personally. So I think one of the most important lessons that teachers can learn from this is not to judge the kid. And if a kid is acting out, there's probably something else happening in his life for him to be acting out. And instead of suspending him or putting him in detention or punishing him, it's important to give him more love. Because we all need love, and a lot of us are very privileged and got that love as children, and therefore we don't understand and we get upset. But it's our responsibility to understand that privilege and give more love back to the child acting out.
All right, very good. Come on. There's more snacks and hopefully reinforcements. And thank you again.
Is there like a sign-up sheet at the end there?
Yeah,